Hello collectors, it's Steven here bringing you a review of the SH Figuarts Charizard. Following the demand of the D-Arts, Bandai repainted it, fixed a few issues, and included new accessories. Almost nearly double the original MSRP of the D-Arts, but significantly lower than the aftermarket. Is this guy worth it? Well, let's take a look to see if this Bandai Premium Webshop exclusive is worth adding into your collection. So with this guy being a repaint, you'd think that Bandai would be able to improve on the original, right? Well, it's brighter in color, which you'll see in the comparison later, but beyond that, the quality control is, dare I say, a little worse than the original, depending on which one you get. Yeah. Those who are familiar with the D-Arts line think of middle-tier paint applications. Let's take a closer look. Charizard's head looks pretty alright, no real complaints except for the nasty mold line on the head. Trust me, that's not one of the things that you only see in the pictures, it's pretty apparent in person. The inside of the wings look rather nice, but around the edges of the inside, the quality is rather inconsistent. Instead of keeping up with the nice shading as you can see towards the middle of the wings, it kind of just looks like they said screw it and half-assed it towards the edges. The back of the wings feature iffy quality control too, with apparent blue paint transfer around the edges, with random streaks of different colors on the wings. I didn't get a bootleg, and this isn't a cheaper domestic figure, so what the frick, Bandai? The connection at the shoulders? Just look at it yourself. Moving on down, the chest and neck feature the same spotty QC, and the hands, well, to be perfectly honest, they look like crap. And then there's the thighs. Yeah. The lower belly of Charizard looks alright with the shading, save that yellow spot on the inner left thigh when you're looking at him, and then more QC concerns above his right when you're looking at him hip. The tail's pretty consistent in quality with a translucent tail tip with crap floating in it. I mean, disappointing doesn't even begin to describe this, so I don't know where the money went. For articulation, it is identical to the D-Arts Charizard, however, some of the joints are actually just improved in terms of being stable. They're a little more tight. So, what joints do we have? Starting up here at the head, we have the jaw. It is on a hinge, opens and closes. It can be a bit difficult to grab to get it to open when the mouth is closed, especially right out of the box, but after a few tries, you're going to get it to move nice and smoothly. The tongue, surprisingly, is on a ball joint. I say surprisingly because for some reason, a few people missed this on the D-Arts release. So you can move it around a little bit, which is pretty cool. Not too much, but just enough for me to go, good job. Next up, a little interesting. So we have the head plugs into the neck on a swivel hinge combo. So as you can see, you can spin Charizard's head around like that. And then there's a hinge, which allows you to move the head up and down. What's frustrating about this is if you think about it, there's a plug here that plugs into Charizard's head, and then there's a plug here that plugs into his neck. So you think you'd get easy side-to-side movement like that, but you can't twist and turn his head. So if you were to take Charizard's head and turn it to side like that, you can't do that. A little disappointing in my book, but I guess that's just a personal preference. So then we have a ball joint here and a ball joint here. The ball joint down here works wonderfully for me. Right out of the box, I was able to move that, but the one in the middle of the neck is rather stiff. And yes, I can move it, but I had to get it unstuck first. Yeah, I had to grip it and twist it. Kind of scary. But nevertheless, it now works, and you get some nice range of movement there. You can get Charizard to fly. Anyway, moving on down, for the shoulders, we have ball joints. You can spin them around, you can rock them. We have bicep swivels, swivel hinge elbows. So you get swivels on top of the bicep swivel. And then we have ball jointed wrists. This is the same for both sides, though this one on mine, it was very, very tight, and it doesn't really want to move too well for me. I have to really grip it and move it around. Don't like that. Don't want to break stuff. The wings, barbell-style ball joint system. So there is a ball joint in the base of the body and in the base of the wing here. So you can wiggle them around. You can hear it squeaking, very tight. And then we have hinges for the wings. They are segmented, so you can move them around like so. Help if that was in frame, wouldn't it? So that's pretty cool. You get some nice movement out of there, but I do agree, originally, maybe the base of the wings should have been on hinges, but say levy, it works. Moving on down, we have ball-jointed hips. So you can spread Charizard's legs rather wide and spin them around if you want. And then at the knees, we have a ball joint with a ball jointed ankle. This is a little bit upsetting, and practically I understand why, but you can't get Charizard's leg to go straight out. Yeah, he's kind of always hunched over a little bit. Disappointing, but I mean, again, the engineering and the design, it is what it is. Lastly, we have ball jointed tail. So we have a section where it plugs into the base of the body. Then we have one here, one here, one here, and then we have the tail tip. Mine has not fallen off yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does because the D-Arts did that. Hopefully they were able to fix that. But yeah, generally speaking, the joints on the tail are nice and stable. However, I think it was this one popped off on me once while I was going over the pictures for the review, and I dropped it on my computer and damaged the screen. So do be careful with that. The joints popping apart is not totally eliminated with this release, but it's much better than the first one. So long story short, the articulation is identical to the first D-Arch Charizard. However, it is slightly more stable. Accessories are a massive improvement over the original. We get a support stand with a new claw specifically made for Charizard, a seismic toss effect display, and what I'm pretty sure is supposed to be a Flare Blitz Fire Blast hybrid effect set. Let's take a look. The support stand is the same base we've gotten with the other releases, so there's nothing of real importance here. But we get one support arm and one claw made to fit Charizard. But it's not that great. The claw slips under Charizard's wings at the shoulders, but he's so damn heavy the support arm doesn't really support him. You can tighten the screws, but the average Joe might not know this or think to do this. Yeah, and also the tail gets in the way of the arm, so bleh. The seismic toss effect part has a nice printing of the earth on it, and the intent is to pose Charizard holding an enemy as he drops them after flying around the earth like he does in the anime. This looks nice, but Bandai should have taken a play out of Good Smile Company's book. The effect is made of a stiff cardboard. Feels kinda cheap. They should have made it out of plastic for stability, sorta like they did with the Nendoroid Mega Man's explosion effect part when he dies. Ho hum. Anyway, there's a support stand for it too, which plugs in to the Pokeball base. Last up, the flame effects. We get two pieces to slide onto the tips of the wings, two pieces to slide over the middle part of the wings, and then finally, a part for the mouth. This can be difficult to fit in since it's dependent on his teeth. It's thin, and I think it looks a little derpy looking at it because, it's at the front of the mouth. It looks very thin. Not really intimidating there, but, you get what you get. The effects can then be assembled on the ground rather poorly to form a fire blast effect. A for effort in thinking it through, but you might find it difficult to get the parts to balance well. However, all in all, the effects are pretty good, and to be honest, this is what we should have gotten in the first release. If you're creative, you can think of some really awesome displays with these effect parts. Here's a size comparison with some other Nintendo-related figures which might be on your shelf. He has a nice size shelf footprint, if you will, taking up space, but he's not very tall. And finally, the moment you've been waiting for, the comparison with the D-Arts. The two main differences are apparent right away, but let's take a closer look. The D-Arts has a more intricate shading scheme with a darker orange spray found throughout the body, which the SHF lacks, but the SHF is a bit more pleasant to look at. I think so anyway. It's a bit easier on the eyes. One notable point of interest would be the white spray utilized in some places on the SHF. The quality control, I'd say it's about the same with a little bit more in favor of the D-Arts, but there are paint slop and mold lines on both, and the fact that the rather chalky pastelish paint is still on the SHF. It's a bit of a bummer. The tail tip, the flame, is brighter on the SHF too. Which one do you want? Well, I hope this comparison is enough for you to help you decide. Oh yeah, one more little thing. Peeps pissed and moaned about the jaw on the D-Arts, so Bandai went back and fixed that for the SHF. Yeah, that's the other difference I made mention of at the start of this section. So yes, not only is it a repaint, it's also technically a retool. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Bit of a conundrum here, I gotta say. While it's nice to finally have Bandai Charizard on the market again for a decent price considering the aftermarket, it's overpriced for what it is. Paint isn't the best at all, and even if you're in Japan, the 7,000 or so more yen it was at the web shop pre-order period is steep, and those internationally, you're going to be paying more. The fixed jaw and tighter articulation is much appreciated, as are the effects, but we get American paint app quality with Japanese articulation for the import price. I'm not saying don't pick this up, especially if you like Charizard, but this figure isn't winning any contest in my book. At least not the good kind. If you have the money and you can find it for cheap, and you really, really, really want this Charizard, I say go ahead and get it, but be prepared to lower your standard of quality. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below to share your thoughts. If you're interested in picking this figure up or others like it, check the description for some cool links to take you where you need to go. Why don't you watch some more videos? Click the annotations on the screen now for more great content. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next video.